back to another session of the Black and White Conversation. My name is Rob Wayne, aka Da Vinci's Ghost. So I'm welcoming you to another session. If it's your first time on this page, the first time seeing this, please like, subscribe, comment as well. Please be sure to join the conversation. So the Black and White Conversation, you know how we do it. We keep it real, having real conversations with people on different views, different perspectives, learning from each other. So today I have a very close friend of mine. This is Luyando here. How are you doing, man? Okay. So we don't want to waste so much time. Today we're looking at habits and how they either build us or break us. So without really jumping here and there, let's dive right into it. Boy, habits. What are habits? Let me just say, what are habits?
What are habits? Okay, most of the time, guys, habits, it's they define it in a bad kind of way, like drugs. But I feel like habits are just the usual manner of behavior, like how you act, like doing something so much, all over and over again that you start doing it without noticing you're doing it. Like, oh, okay, I got a habit, you know, like the way you take a walk every morning, yes, the way you do it, and then sometimes how you respond to things, like just do it without knowing.
Yeah. Okay, so like you said, a habit can either be good or bad, but often it's why say that habit, it didn't refer to something bad.
Exactly.
So let's say like looking at where we are right now, in relation to habits, what are some of the habits you feel a young man or young woman who just stepped out of their parents' house or out of their guardian's house, that's just independent? What are some of the habits you feel they should have?
Okay, when you put it just stepped out of your parents' house, because I can say most of us are not groomed in that way of, you know, the paying rent kind of thing, you know, budget. Okay, some are groomed that way where you're making the house budget, so it's easier for you that way. But most of us, there's like pull on money, you know, like you just have to experience it all at once. How you have to balance up your rent, you have to pay it on time, and your food, you know, like for others like you who drink, you have to balance out. On like what you have to do first, like if you have to get yourself alcohol before paying the rent, or you're disciplined enough. I feel like all those habits all come down to discipline, like, you know.
But for me, I would say just like all of them that you've said, though when it comes to the discipline part, I feel regardless of what, I think rent is one thing that should always be paid, and grocery. Because I feel like I would rather be broke, but at least my rent is paid and my grocery is there. Which I feel there's other people that would literally go out even before paying rent. That's risky, man.
It is risky, but I feel like that's where the budget comes in. If you budget up your money, like this is rent money, this is what money.
Yeah.
I feel like you can go out even before paying the rent, but as long as the money is saved for rent and you know you're disciplined enough that okay, the rent will be sent over, not where you're out and you're like twala would have position and then you replace later. No. And then because like it just messes up the whole budget. Now you have to re-budget. You still have to get money from food and then.
But there's very few people that would go out before they pay rent. I feel like when you go out, you probably might end up spending even your rent or grocery money. There's few. I'm just saying.
If you are balling on a budget, I feel like you can do that. Because who makes the budget? You make the budget. So if you say you're going to drink a 500 or a 2 pin or a 5 pin, depending on what alcohol you drink or how your fun is.
Okay.
Or how you.
So anyway, from my end, I'm not sure if you're watching this. I feel your rent should be paid first. Your grocery too.
We are corrupt on this.
No. But anyway, that's just on habits. So now to kind of like just break down habits. There are good and bad habits. So from your perspective, what would you say? Or how do habits build us or break us? Like we.
I feel like how they build us or break us is because habits are. It kind of sounds like a strong word, but like in definition, it's just your behavior towards everything, how you constantly do it, that it becomes part of you and part of your personality. So I would say how they build us is your financial status kind of is based on your behavior towards money. When you have money, what you do?
Wow,
Do you spend it all, or do you save part of it?
Okay.
Your habits toward food, what you eat, what you choose to eat.
Yeah.
That will become your health wise.
Exactly.
Like, is your health good? It's because of your behavior. That's your habit of what you eat, how do you eat, how often do you eat, and that's how healthy you be or not. Do you
Okay.
exercise often? Do you not exercise often? When it comes to sexual practice, what's your habit? What's your behavior towards it? Like, is it protected sex? Is it with multiple partners? Is it? So that's how your behavior towards it. That's how they build us or break us. Because if your behavior towards what you do constantly isn't as strong as it's supposed to be, just the bad side. Okay. If it's as good, it builds it up.
Okay, so simply put, what I've picked up from what you've said is, let's say over a long period of time, let's say 30 days, right?
Yeah.
My current financial status as of today, in my mobile money and my bank account, is as a result of my daily financial habits.
Exactly.
Okay. And my physical appearance as of today, is as a result of my physical habits on a day-to-day basis.
And your food.
And my
so
food.
If you've lost weight, mostly it's because you've not been eating as much, or you chose to lose weight.
Okay.
If you've gained weight, it's because you've had good eating habits.
Yeah.
And that's how they build you. That's how.
So if you say that, it means even success doesn't just happen overnight. It means it's a constant positive habit, repeated over and over. Okay. We are learning here. So, if what you're saying is true, does it mean this also goes into relations? Habits go into relations? Would you say like there are certain people that you probably have one partner, it's a habit, or two partners, or multiple?
Oh, yeah.
Does it fall in the
I feel it does, because constantly everyone, let's say, that's in a relationship or is exposed to more other people, because we live around people, so they're exposed to more other people as everyone else. So if you choose to have multiple partners, meaning it's your behavior towards your response of the other sex, meaning you just can't have one, so you have many other ones. If you choose to have one partner, it means your habit or your behavior towards other sex is because you choose to have one. Okay, so it's both ways, male, female.
Okay, I get it. So if talking about that, so would you say there are benefits of having one partner? Because for me, I'll say yes. There's a benefit. I'll say.
As you?
Yeah, there's a benefit when you just have one partner. You probably.
But they will fuck.
You probably only only spend once. Like, if I have like 5 ladies, that means I would have to spend more. So
what if you can afford it? Like, that's situation where you can afford all 5 of them. So it doesn't become a disadvantage. I'm not saying there's advantages in having multiple partners or not, but I feel like if you can afford it, then it's not a disadvantage. There'll be other disadvantages. Maybe time. You can't afford time to all of them. So the other one wants to see you now. You have to tell the other one you can't see them. So, but apart from that,
maybe one of the advantages, let's say if you have multiple partners, is maybe if one pisses you off, you can talk to the other one.
And if the other one pisses you off,
you look for another one. So anyway, but so it all comes down to habits.
Yeah, exactly.
It's how you choose
to behave in your relationship.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how it just. So there's negatives, there's positive to multiple partners or a single partner, but it's all about behavior, habits towards relation. Like you choose. Okay, just one. That's it. Like if you didn't, there's multiple partners and all that. But there's also these other habits. It's not just based on partners. All about on a day-to-day life. because we associate with people on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
So, what? How do you respond to people? People are actually really bus. Something petty, but how people, their behavior all over and over, how their habits and how they respond to certain situations, or how they project out and all that. So, what do you think about?
So it's more, you're asking more about the response.
Yeah,
in relation to
like
habits.
in habits.
Okay, so since we touched a little bit of relationships, one of the examples I can give is, let's say if somebody, now I'm in situations where somebody turns somebody down, then umuntu afulwa, you know. So quite often quite a habit ya entitlement. Wow, you know, like I never exactly. I never really figured that out. Like when somebody turns you down, that doesn't put you in a position where to insult them. You know, like have you ever been turned down and then you because for me, if somebody I've been turned down before, but for me I took it as though as I appreciated the person because they were honest enough to say no, they didn't feel the same. And this is something I've seen in most relations in our countries, that just because somebody napped them, what doesn't mean you should like them.
No, you should like them back.
No, it doesn't, and that's where the lies come from, you know.
or I feel like they don't feel the same, and it keeps on going, and then you just keep them because they like you, but you don't like them. But kadaka, but they
you know, so you just keep them
because you want to feel wanted. So, but I feel like, hey, where is something? I don't know, what do you feel on also other habits? We're talking about how people behave and how they project out on in terms of response. Like even on the day-to-day, like on people, you post on your status or something, how people project, like how they'll see a status instead of actually asking, but they'll actually think what you're saying is what they're thinking, so they'll respond in their way. Be like, what nine?
I think it's only now that I'm paying so much attention to projections. You know, like people project so much. They never ask. That's one thing I've learned. People never ask. It's whatever that sits well with what's in their mind. That's what they will go with, regardless of asking. There's very few people that will actually tell you. Like here in Luyando, you know, you can post something. Instead of moving to a website, oh boy, what do you mean? They would rather just if you're feeling enough of panga if you're feeling so I think like I have them charge some projection.
Yeah, even on how people respond. Let's say you're texting someone, right? And then let's say you went off the app, making matters worse for so if you go off the app, the messages won't pop up. So by the time you're coming back 10 minutes, 20 minutes later, like you're not even responding to me. What? Who are you talking to? Or,
exactly.
Or Shine? Or is the conversation boring? So people project that way. It's like they're just projecting. Like for them, if they stop responding to someone, it's because it's either they're boring or they don't like them. So if you do that, probably because they are busy or something, they'll do the same. It's like they'll project or they respond to you. It's like it's a habit for them. They'll respond to you the same way. They'll even stop replying. Since you texted after 10 minutes,
some habits, these are actions that we perform. Oftentimes, it's happening, you know. And so it's an action that turns into attitude, then character. Then we have a personality. You know, like one thing I tell a lot of close friends of mine is like when you wake up in the morning, make your bed. You know, there's a lot of guys that don't make their bed, right?
Oh, you go up.
It's a habit. No, you don't go up. So it's something I've told myself to do every morning. Like it's just now I'm at a point where I do it without even knowing it.
So how do you tell a habit is bad or a habit is good? What's the difference? What's the thin line? Like habit.
That's interesting because you know habits have a thin line between good and bad. They can be. You can have a bad habit, but at the same time it's pleasurable. But in the long term, the results are negative. Okay. What example can I give? I know it's hard to give an example because people will think I'm being judgmental.
Of a bad or a good?
Okay, of a
Okay,
bad.
let's start with the bad ones.
Okay, so for a bad one, maybe that I can give is maybe alcohol. Okay. Oh, easy. Okay, it's pleasurable. It's pleasurable right there, but you can talk about how it has maybe the edge or after, or maybe excessive intake of it years later.
I feel like
So that's one. That's one.
so is it a perspective from yourself or from other people that you say this habit is bad? Or okay, let's say someone that's doing cocaine probably.
Yeah.
But they would know it's bad. I don't know.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. It's like the process itself is pleasurable, but it's the end result. You know, it's pleasurable, but it's the end result.
So for what do you call this? It's a model, right?
Yeah.
There are those that eat, then
Yes.
force themselves to throw up so that they don't gain weight.
Yeah.
That's a habit.
Yeah.
So would you call it a good one or a bad one? When you look at it career-wise, it's good for them because they are maintaining a certain size
Yeah.
and structure.
Yeah.
But health-wise, it's not.
Yeah.
So how would you say it's a good or bad?
So when it comes to habits, if you put it like that, I think it comes to just how you choose to see whether it's good or bad. I think I can't dictate for anybody what to do.
So it's self.
Yeah. I don't try to
So
project.
then if we come back to alcohol and then I say
The point exactly. There's people that will speak against alcohol, okay, and they'll have their reason. And there's people that will defend alcohol, and they'll have their reason. You know, so it's based on how you choose to see it.
and for good habits.
For good habits, usually good habits are the difference between good and bad habits is that for bad habits, often the act itself is pleasurable and the result is bad, negative. For good habits, oftentimes the act itself is painful, but the result is pleasurable. That's the difference. Like exercising in the gym, the act itself is stressful, but over a long period of time, the result is good. Same thing. If it's positive, Jomba.
And then the structure changes. It's not looking.
no, because
So
we all have like where we want to be at the end of the day.
So I keep saying. So is it project? Or you say it's self-project?
It's self-projection. When we're like what you project, it may be good for me, but it can't be good for you. You know, same thing even on finances. You know, saving, like blowing money, is nice. It's a bad habit. Okay, but saving is painful. But after a long period of time, it's pleasurable. So that's the difference between the negative and positive. The negative, usually the act itself is pleasurable,
Yeah.
but you suffer later. The positive, the act itself is
This is suffer now and then.
exactly. So that's that. So are we making sense here? This here is Luyando, probably one of my close friends. Lucenzi fimo mfana company shit.
No, that is Winston Lusaka.
Exactly. Yeah. Alikuwa waka cocktail mwa kwa dati Dusty Road.
The Dusty Road to Solwezi.
Yeah.
Karakawata Dalshka.
Please guys, Mona Lucen's cocktails, please have a taste that wherever you find the vending, please try their stuff out. Okay, so since we've spoken about there being good and bad habits, so I'm sure somebody may be asking, how can one either break or build a habit? So let's start with the breaking. What are some of the ways you feel somebody can break a habit?
Habit. Okay, usually most people say to get rid of a habit, or in case where it's a bad habit, you have to replace it with a good one, a different one. But what they're trying to do is, it's just there's this loop, right? When you're just starting a habit, you do it once. So as a result, it gives you, like the way you said, it gives you pleasure. When you do it, then you feel nice. But long term, it's bad. So when you do it you feel nice. Do it, you feel nice. So it's a loop. As long as you keep doing it, it's just an habit.
And that's now an addiction at the
An addiction at the end of the day. So for you to break it, it means when you focus on these other good ones, meaning the loop of that one is reduced on how constantly or frequently you do it. Start doing this alone. It's like people that smoke usually have smoking patches. It's either you chew bubble gum when you feel like you want to smoke. All that. It's just you mentally replacing that habit with a new habit so that cycle is broken, so that you are doing another new one. Okay,
so when it comes to that, if we generalize this in society, there are people who have what I don't want to say I consider, or I'll generally say what society may consider as bad. What is the best way to approach them to say, or do this isn't good? Because I feel like it didn't approach abantu bakwada therefore pepe bangi, for example. Ngana kupoka akashikika. Ngana kupoka and I destroy it.
Yeah.
There's still nothing I've done.
Yeah, you're not breaking the loop.
Exactly.
You're just getting away what I'm doing at the first step.
Yeah.
You can buy it elsewhere. I don't smoke weed, but I can buy it elsewhere.
Yeah.
So it's not about you buy it elsewhere. So which means the addiction or the habit, the behavior still continues with or without you getting what I had. It's the same thing with smoking cigarettes or saying that or I flash and oh yo, but babe better for that I mean or saying that why they pull out, you bend them. You're just taking away what she does, you're not taking away the loop of an addiction. You understand? Yeah. So even if like the approach to how you want someone to break off the habit is okay, you approach them and first we have to make them realize that this is a habit that they're doing that's becoming an addiction and it's affecting them or other people in a certain way.
Yeah.
And I feel like if they agree that okay, this is it, and if they agree that they're willing to stop it, that's where you start from.
Exactly.
Not where you just force it.
They give
you
because what happens is I want to kupata no but one more guys number and we see this even in churches. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Like people are not really tackling those matters that youth
they're just forcing on there's porn addiction, there's alcohol addiction, there's cigarette smoking, and then yes they'll preach about them, but how are they having a one-on-one conversation with them after and then telling them, oh okay, you watch porn, for you to stop watching porn you have to at least keep yourself busy, do this, do that. You understand? Okay, you smoke cigarettes and you're willing to stop. Okay, do this and do that. You understand that where someone walks into a church with an addiction or a habit behavior, and they will walk away with it and it doesn't stop. Because I feel like somehow it's like being enforced on you. No, you have to stop this because you're a Christian, stop this. Like they don't talk about how you're supposed to do it.
Exactly. There's very few cansters that really tackle these things. Because dude, if you really think about it, like one thing I found, especially even in churches, and I'm not labeling this on any church, but I'm just saying generally, kids are doing stuff out there, even in churches, like. But I feel like and they are not doing this because they know. These kids don't know, and there's really nobody sitting them down to have these conversations like, Maiche, sit down here with me. Like they are just saying, oh, this is a sin, this is a sin, this is a sin, this is a sin. Explain to them, let them know the repercussions of those actions. Same like therapy. We are having we're in a very sensitive moment right now in the country when there are men or women coming out expressing different gender, sexes. I don't want really to dive into that. That's a little bit of a sensitive thing. But sometimes, it's easy to judge on face basis. But for me, that experience, I didn't experience that. For me, that experience, a case where a small boy that was molested. This is a small boy that was molested. Presented positive for syphilis. Okay. But the mother didn't know. Okay, so after tests were done, this is a movie. How was this baby born? But found out my I'll get the nanny. So that says something. Oh, how? Okay, so for all those things, there's two things that can happen. If that boy doesn't go through therapy or counseling, or they have a talk, you know, it's either that boy will grow up damaged or traumatized, or I can't go from one after normal. You know, so I feel and think there should really be actions. You know,
I feel like
therapy is very, very, very important.
Yeah. What do you think? How do you think someone breaks habits?
How somebody who like you know how
This is a black and white conversation. We're not being gray. So
okay.
If you had a habit, what habit did you have that you managed to break, and how did you break it?
I think spontaneous spending. Yeah, that was like whatever I couldn't say. So I think one of the best ways to break a habit is you being aware of yourself. Catch yourself performing an habit. Only in that point will you be able to break a habit.
You have to catch yourself
performing a habit. Then you know, like, oh, this
is bad.
Yeah, this is bad. And the truth about that is that sometimes you fail.
Yeah, but you make up a plan like, oh, okay, now I'm not going to spend. But shine.
You've been to my place. You know, there's on my mirror there's a paper that I actually tick. That actually dictates me either breaking or building a habit.
Yeah.
So when I fail, the joke is on me. I don't say I tick to say, okay, here I failed. Here I failed. Then after a long period of time, I look back at that sheet that shows, oh, okay, here and so on.
So it's not only about planning on how you break the habit. It's about a constant check on yourself.
Yeah.
That you're either breaking it or it's still going on.
Exactly. One of the most important things as a human being is you being in constant development of yourself. You know, it's construction. You never stop. You keep going just like that. I'm not sure if I've answered your question.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you talked about.
No, dude. No, not yet there.
Out here.
Not. So guys, this right here is Luyando, and be sure to follow his page, the Lucens.
Yeah. Cocktails by
Lucens. Be sure to follow the Black and White Conversations with Wayne page as well. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Please join this conversation. For me, Rogue Wayne, aka Da Vinci's Ghost. Peace.